Gurudev. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudirayet. Jai Gurudev. I mean, every story is like awe-inspiring. One story after the other.
Beautiful stories.
Yeah.
I like all the stories that today was really very nice. Praglata.
Right. And what touched me was the fact that there is someone who sets a law, and that law is actually followed through.
Yeah.
It is not deviated. Like when Hiranyakashipu asks Brahma for a boon, how Vishnu takes the form of Narasimha, and how every aspect of his boon is kind of adhered to. There is no breaking of rule. There is no deviation from, no exception, and the rule is a rule. You just follow that.
Yeah.
That was very
It's like
revealing.
Brahma only gave it to you, right? I don't care. He didn't have that attitude. That's a dharma. There was really fun stories also. Whether to believe it or not to believe, but then there is this. I was thinking about this bird, like it's so heavy, and I mean, like dinosaurs. There's so many different kinds of birds. Comparatively, those were big, right? Like those animals were big in dinosaur era. But anyway, that's nice.
Hariom, and it took 500 years to conceive. I mean, that was amazing. So much strength it must have accumulated during that time. And that's why as soon as he was born, he was hungry. And then it was so nice, very beautiful, symbolic.
That was very nice. I'm wondering about that Atma bodha book, the one with I forgot the author name is the other Chinmaya Mission book.
Yeah, correct. I think
that has a little bit. I mean, the language wise, a little bit simplistic, and the summary is a little bit different. Yeah, different meaning. It's kind of nice, like I felt. I mean, I only read the first part of it. He's giving the same points, but then in a little different way. I mean, he also talked about a little bit of the for the first verse I was reading, the Tatubodh, how it says those I mean Anubandha Chatuschaya, and he describes Adhikari and what Adhikari should have, those four qualities, right? Like you purify yourself with the austerities and peaceful heart, and what else? And the three or four of them. Um, Yeah, you wanting to get liberation, and there is one more. Forgot. Oh, the raga dveshas. You free of your cravings. So that was the adhikari, and then I was trying to read the other ones. So there was a little bit nicer. Like I'm not sure. Like you want to read, compare it when we read in the
Um,
other.
yeah. What I would suggest is maybe it's nice
Mm-hmm.
as a cross-reference book.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we will,
Okay, I'll
yeah,
keep it open then, but I thought I'll tell you that
yeah.
it's a little bit
Swami
simplified.
Chinmayananda is
Mm.
simplified, is it? I know Swami Chinmayananda tends to use some
He
very
uses a lot of text,
descriptive
yeah.
words.
Hmm. Lot of
So
text. Mm. Yeah, I like the this one, but anyway, don't matter. But I thought because we are reviewing second time, the last time we read this Chinmaya's description, I think,
did we read
and
Swami Chinmayananda's last time?
yeah, yeah, we did it. And then when we came to Prana, we had a question, and then we went and referred to
Uh,
that
the
Tattva last
description
time.
part we did not read, no. This we have not read. It is
No,
just the
Atma Bodh, we
explanation.
did the whole thing,
No, that was, I think that was Tattva Bodh we did.
That's the second. Didn't we do the Atma Bodh also
I
No,
don't
Yes,
one
think
hour
yes,
before?
no.
we did it. We
We
did
did the
we did
Atma
it.
Atma
Bodh.
Bodh
Yeah,
banana,
yeah,
yeah. We
yeah,
did it for,
definitely.
yeah.
No,
I
no, Atma
No,
remember.
Bodh,
no.
only the shloka
Atma,
and the meaning we did, not the full
yeah, that's
No,
what I'm
description.
Yes,
saying.
yes,
See,
yes.
No.
no, no, no.
Atma Bodh, we of course did Manana, but we didn't go
Mm,
through Swami Chinmayananda's
yeah,
commentary.
correct.
So what I would
Oh,
recommend is, see,
mm,
we will continue with Swami Chinmayananda since we started, and the other text, Atma Bodh, by one of his disciples. That is, I
mm,
think, a smaller version. It's, I think, 108 pages or so, as against 146 pages here. It'll be good for
mm.
us to go back and read on our own. Then it'll get more and more clear to us because I think it's more organized there. There, like I just shared, there he has subdivided subheadings based on what the description is. So
Yeah, that's
it,
probably why I kept that one because I
yeah,
remember reading Chinmaya's description as well because
maybe
I
you
don't.
read because I don't think
I
as a
don't-
group we read. Yeah, I don't think as a group we read.
really?
No, I don't think
Uh,
so.
okay.
We'll have to go back and check those YouTube
Uh,
links
YouTube
whether we've done
videos.
this. Yeah.
Uh, well, I don't know. Maybe it will come to me. I don't know. Just see.
Dr. Chanda, at that time you had not started Rule 2.
No, but I
Mm.
was already putting everything on YouTube. Everything
We
is
got
on
a
YouTube.
recording of Atma Bodh. Yeah, we'll check it out. We'll see
Yeah. All
what
the Zoom
may
recordings were converted to Atma to the YouTube recording.
Okay, okay.
for the Manana sessions. Maybe I don't know.
Also the Manana sessions, but they were
Okay.
not put live as public. They were put in, I think, restricted private or so.
Mm.
So
Okay.
we
We did
stopped
about
at
12.
12.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
stopped at 12. Yeah. Mm.
Dr. Chanda, I will leave after 15 minutes, okay?
No problem. No problem.
Yoga session.
Yeah. पञ्चीकृतमहाभूतम् सम्भवं कर्म सङ्गितं शरीरं सुखदुःखानां bhogayatanamujyate. So, Panchikritam, the five elements that have gone through the process of fivefold self-division and mutual combination, Mahabhuta Sambhavam, made up of the five elements, Karma Sangitam, determined by one's own past actions, Shariram, the gross body, Sukhadukhanam, for pleasure and pain, Bhogayatanam, medium of experiencing, Uchyate is said. Determined for each individual by his own past actions and made up of the five elements that have gone through the process of a five-fold self-division and mutual combination, Panchikarana, are born the gross body, the medium through which pleasure and pain are experienced, the tent of experiences. Now we come to analyze how the limiting factors or upadhis emerge. The biological story of the growth and development of the bodies or layers of matter beneath which the Atman revels as luminous consciousness. The three bodies are called the gross, subtle, and the causal body. The gross body is composed of the five elements: space, air, fire, water, and earth. Observe the history of the body after death during its disintegration. Soon after life has departed from it, the heat contents pass out and the body becomes icy cold. So that is the fire element. It also bloats up and emits gas, the air element. And soon it decays in its own juicy contents, water. And finally, the bare physical structure decays to dust, earth. The space occupied by the body is yielded back, akasha. In all creation, the gross is derived from its subtler state, and we all know that the cause precedes the effect. In the theory of Panchikarana, it is very elaborately pointed out how these five elements are evolved, how they intermingle, and how from the subtle tanmatras is tad matram, that alone, the gross elements come about. The process of the fivefold self-division and mutual combination. So, in their tanmatra, that when they exist alone, they exist as space, air, fire, water, and earth. That is the first table. Then they have a tendency to divide into two equal parts. The second column, the second row, and in the third row, the split gets complete. And in the fourth, we find that one half remaining intact, the others split into four. And in the last row, you find that each half is married with four bits borrowed from all others. So the five great elements are space, air, fire, water, and earth. Before their grossifications, they were each themselves, and in their pure natural states, they are called the Tanmatra. Their grossifications takes place in five definite scientific stages. Stage 1, they remain in their own individual pure state. Stage 2, each tanmatra of all the five elements shows a tendency to split into two equal halves. In stage 3, they split into two halves. In 4, at this stage, half tanmatra of each element remains intact and the other half divides itself into four equal bits, each bit being 1/8 of the whole tanmatra. Thus, at this stage, each tanmatra has split into five segments, one half bit and four 1/8 bits. And in stage 5, in this last stage, each half remains the same and it combines with the four 1/8 bits borrowed from all other four elements. Thus, the gross sky that we see is one half of the sky of space plus one eighth of air, one eighth of fire, one eighth of water, and one eighth of earth. Air, the gross air that we see is half of air plus one eighth of space, fire, water, and earth. Similarly, the others, fire, water, and earth. The human body, as already stated, is the equipment with which we perceive things, and it is with the sense organs available in the body that we derive our quota of pleasure and pain, which in their turn give us a measure of our success and failure in our individual lives. The enjoyment of pleasure and pain, bhoga, in this physical body, the hut of pleasure, the hall of experience, is determined by our own past karmas. Thought by thought, action by action, we have demanded the present body and mental equipment. In fact, even while we are alive and acting here now, we order the shape of the future life to be. Unless we conquer the bad vasanas by right conduct and practice systematically the righteous values of life, we do not come to live in an atmosphere in which our thoughts and actions are sufficiently divine and to be directly helpful for our own progressive evolution. If therefore now rests with us to make or mar our progress, to get a better life with plenty of opportunities in which we can slowly and steadily go forward and ultimately come to realize the supreme truth, or to get a wicked one in which we can dive ourselves into a greater gloom. With our own actions, we give a blueprint to God, ordering the exact shape of our destiny. And according to the specifications given, the body, the tent or experience, is built and handed over to each one of us by the all merciful, omnipotent, divine creator. It is like we are giving the material and the garment and the shape and kind of what we want to get, what kind of garment we want to get into the next life by what we do here and now. Action by action, thought by thought. So, again, this brings us back to the importance of being so aware every minute, every moment of our life. No? Awareness is the key.
Yeah, and that sentence explains the evolution also.
Mm. The yoga brashtas, no, how they are born uh, in families that are Shuchinam, Shrimatam, Gehe, Yoga Brashto Vijayate. So, number one, they all the punya that they accrue, all the sadhana that one does not go in vain. It helps you evolve further and further. But in order to do that, in order to be steady on that path, you will have to you continue to be on the right conduct and do righteous things and take care of our bad vasanas. Again, it's like a nice circle. It's coming back to Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhi, Shat Sampatti. These should be our guiding factors in directing our senses correctly out in the material world. पंच प्राणमनो बुद्धिः दशेन्द्रियसमन्वितम् अपञ्चीकृतभूतेत्थं सूक्ष्माङ्गं भोगसाधनम्. Pancha prana, the five pranas, that is the manifestation of life in our body. Mano buddhihi, mind and intellect. Dashendriya, the 10 organs. Samanvitam, combined. Apanchikrita bhutottam, formed by the rudimentary elements before their panchikarana, sukshmangam, the subtle body, bhoga sadhanam, instrument of experience. The five pranas, the 10 organs, and the manas and the buddhi, formed by the rudimentary elements, tanmatras, before their fivefold division and mutual combination with one another, panchikarana, and this is the subtle body, the instruments of experience of the individual. In the lower wombs of the plant and the animal, and the higher beings of the human and the celestial, there are vast differences. But behind all these wonderful differences, to any discriminative intellect capable of seeing things in their correct and true perspective, there is one pulsating force that plays the song of life through all these various equipments. If there be such a oneness of existence everywhere, why is there a series of different experiences within myself? And why then, again, the various grades of life outside? Vedanta has not only theoretically dealt with this question, but a practical approach has been made to this problem. A very convincing answer indeed is given to this deep doubt. In this stanza, the term prana is to be correctly understood. It is the manifestation of life in our body, and the five pranas are the five departments of life's activities or categories of prana functioning departmentally in five ways. They are: number one, prana is that life force which controls and regulates the various activities in our sense organs. It is because of this dynamic energy that life is evident in sense perceptions. Apana is the excretory system in a healthy body, the capacity to reject the unnecessary and unwanted poisonous things from the body. Vyana, third, expresses life's. So the prana is not the mechanical breathing in and out. It regulates all of the various activities of the sense organs and is therefore evident in the sense perception. Dhyana expresses life's functions in the digestive system, which makes the food ready for absorption by the body. Samana distributes the digested food with equity and justice, as the very word indicates, according to the need of the moment to each part. More food goes to our hands if we are cutting wood or breaking stones, and more for the legs if we are running or walking. Udana is the capacity to rise up and peep into fresh fields of knowledge by which the existing wrong notions are removed by the newly acquired convictions and experiences, the capacity in us to evolve or devolve in our thoughts. So, Manana is actually at least one aspect of Udana. As the
This
one,
is where we had some discrepancy in the in this description. The Udana is the part where it, at the time of the death, where uh, the life force goes.
yeah,
So,
correct. That
yeah.
is also there. That is also one aspect of Udana.
Mm.
It is the uh, um, it is one of those aspects. One of the portfolios of Udana is to when the life force leaves the body, it is through the Udana Prana, Udana Vayu. Sorry, it is I think mentioned. We'll read. I think, and we read further. We'll
And
get it.
every day also, no? Every day when you go to sleep, Udana takes our mind into the heart, and then only we can go into deep sleep. And in the morning, how we wake up, actually, the Udana Vayu is responsible for our coming into Jagrut Avastha. And same thing happens during the death also. Udana is responsible the body,
I remember
and
this.
Udana is received.
Yeah, we read this because I remember this was some discrepancy. Then we went back to Tattva and read that description there about the five pranas. So I think I
Yeah,
posted it some time ago when we read this.
right.
Anyway, don't worry. I mean, this is fine.
As the one central government holds its sway over the whole country from its seat in New Delhi, so too the one self is the life that has its sway over the whole body, and it functions from the heart cave. The government of the body is conducted through the different pranas that are referred to above. Any government will have its various ministers. One life alone expresses itself in its five different moods, and each performs a different function in this physical body, as each minister is in charge of a given department, and all of them are expressions of the one government in power. Prana controls the perceptions at the different sense organs. The spots on the physical body at which sense perceptions seem to function are not in themselves the sense organs. For instance, the two eyes are only instruments, golayas, through which the power of vision beams forth, and the exact power of vision is the essence located in the mind intellect equipment. If the mind does not come in contact with the sense organs, then no perception is possible. A man in deep thoughts or sleep does not see and recognize the person standing by his side because his mind has not gone out through the eyes to see the object before him. So, this subtle body, constituted of the five pranas, the 10 sense organs, the mind, and the intellect, the instrument with which we experience pain and pleasure, is made out of the five great elements called the rudimentary elements or tanmatras before they had gone through the process of the fivefold subdivision and mutual combination, that is panchikarana. While the physical body explained in the last stanza is an establishment serving as the hall of experience, the subtle body formed out of the rudimentary elements tanmatras is that by which or through which the enjoyment of the bodies in the outer world is rendered possible. The subtle body is constituted of the instruments of experience. So while the gross body is just the hall of experience, that is boga sadhanam, whereas here uh, it is the subtle body constitutes the instruments of experience. One is bhogayatanam and the other one is bhoga sadhanam. 1 minute, let me just clarify which is sadhanam. Sadhanam, I think, is the gross body. Sorry, bhoga sadhanam is the subtle body, and bhogayatanam is the gross body, or the sthula sharira. Anadya vidya nirvachya karanopadiruchyate upadhitritayadanyam atmanamavadharayet. Here, this one subheading one is to the 1 second. Let me just check what that is. that mind has not gone out. No, a person who is in deep sleep or in deep thought is not able to see the object outside of him, because in Vedanta, the theory of perception is that consciousness riding over the mind flows through the sense organs and reaches the object, ghata desha, and then and takes the shape of the object. Then we have the knowledge, vritti jnanam. This is the object. I am ghataha. Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
No? We take
Amazing.
it for granted, no? So when you consider a blind person, for him, this consciousness does not able to pass through the sense organs out into
Which
the
one you
world.
are reading
Therefore,
now? I'm sorry, I missed
huh?
it. What are you
No,
reading?
I am reading the explanation for the uh, the thing that unless
You mean that my mind has not gone out of
yeah,
its
the sense organs per se are not the functioning aspect. It is the mind, the consciousness, which runs through the mind, and therefore from through that it goes out. Otherwise, they're just like golayas, no? They're just those spots in our body. The eyes, ears, nose, touch, skin, taste. All those are just spots of sense organs. How are they able to function? How are they able to function is because the consciousness rides through the mind through them and is therefore able to identify and experience. So, here the explanation given is in Vedanta, the theory of perception is that consciousness riding over the mind flows through the sense organs and reaches the object, ghata desha, and takes the shape of the object. Then we have the knowledge, vritti jnanam. This is the object, I am ghataha. That is why we are, as a child, we are taught all those A for apple, B for banana. It goes on and on because unless you are told that this is an apple, you don't know that that's an apple. So the consciousness flows out through the eyes, through the mind, and through the eyes out there, identifies that as the apple, and that vritti jnanam is therefore formed, and it identifies that that is an object, that is an apple, or that is a ghata, that is a pot, that is an orange, etc. Very nice. Vedanta and is actually such a complete science. It talks so much of the psychology, talks of evolution. I don't think Darwin's theory had any of these Panchikarana mentioned.
And
Nowhere
it's
in
so
our
scientific.
so scientific, right?
Yes. For all the sensory organs, for that matter.
Right,
It's alarming as well while eating or while listening or while talking. Everything. I
correct,
mean, so nice.
right.
Darwin's theory is now discarded.
I know it is discarded. No, even the modern theories, um, they don't talk so much in detail of how the Panchikarana happens. No, about they don't even consider this.
Because that is much before even Darwin's theory, right?
Yeah,
But why you're saying Darwin's theory is not? Because here, if you have seen, even it has been said, thought by thought, action by action, we have become like this. So it supports Darwin's theory, right?
Darwin's theory, everything has come from like
survival
survival
of
of
the
the
fittest.
fittest and all that, no? Whereas this creation, the Vedantic creation is the food the food and the prey and the predator were already created together. Whereas Darwin's theory is about evolution, one into the other. Whereas the Vedantic theory is there is simultaneous creation and evolution happens with what has been created.
Okay, I get it. Okay.
There are three, I think even Vedanta has, I can't remember where I read it. I think it was in the PDF of the 10th chapter. That is one theory of creation is the Yugapat. That is everything like what Suma just now mentioned. It happens just as a thought. Brahma thought, the Brahman thought, and then everything happened, everything manifested. So that
Even
is
here it is been in Puranas also it's been said, no? Kashyap Rishi's wives gave birth to different kinds of species. So again, but Darwin's theory, evolution, I think it supports evolution, may not be the creation, right? Am I
yeah,
right? Ah.
correct.
Mm.
Partly right. Partly Darwin's
Mm.
theory of evolution
Mm.
is it when you're
Or
talking
maybe
of the
survival of the fittest plus the human mind wants to evolve, right? That can be added to that. Maybe
correct.
then that is survival of the fittest also. Um,
See,
survival plus.
genetics and environment, it's like a dance and the dancer, no? The Shiva and Parvati together dancing creation happens. So like that, genetics and environment, they affect each other. And that is how the evolution happens spontaneously, depending on that Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest. But yet, the principle of evolution is already there. Even the ones who survive, they also decay. That is Vedanta. What is created will decay. That is Vedanta.
Yeah, that is
So
true. But because this is all
what
in
Darwin did
Maya,
not go
right?
into
Yeah.
is creation.
Yeah. All of these things are like Maya. Whatever is
Sumaji, can you come back again? The last sentence you said?
I said Darwin did not. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Darwin could not say anything about creation because he had no idea. They were basically, creation was a church principle. It's a religious principle, and the whole scientific community was trying to put that down and say everything happened through evolution. So he could give evidence for evolution, but he could not give any concrete science for creation or the appearance and disappearance of species. Like in Ramayana, we had the Vanara species. They are no longer there. How did they appear? How did they disappear? We don't know. Nor can science can explain that. And this is where Vedanta says everything is created by Brahma and dissolves back into Brahma. So at some stage, some species dissolve. That science has not yet come to how to do it scientifically, I suppose. They don't know that bit, that creation, maintenance, dissolution, that principle is not still examined in that scientific proof, all that kind of method.
But there is one physicist who happened to meet Gurudev, and I don't remember his name. He apparently told Gurudev, I have been studying matter. He's a physicist. I've been studying matter for 3 decades, only to realize that it does not exist. So, on one side, we are looking at the gross physical world, and we're talking of the theory of evolution and all that. But on the other side, when you look at how the whole Jagat is mithya, it actually doesn't exist. And this physicist, ultimately, science is coming down. It is coming down to reconfirming Vedantic truths that have been put out. that Jagat is nothing but it's mithya. It's unreal. It is not non-existent. It's existent, yes, but it is unreal.
And there is one more one once Guruji had mentioned about one more scientist, and he said that this Jagat is working on only three forces, and he had shown him the three balls connected with the stick,
Yeah,
and how
yeah.
it is moving around, and that is this
Sattva,
tamas
rajas, tamo
tamas,
gunas.
yeah,
Yeah,
the three
correct.
forces which
Right.
which are going around and round, and
Yeah.
this Jagat is happening.
And we come to that now, no, in Tattva Bodh, how the evolution of how from the five elements, how the Sattva, Rajas, Tamo gunas are born is there, no? So it is so beautiful. Actually, ultimately, science will come down and has to accept what Vedanta is saying.
Only thing, we need more people who can connect this theory to the modern theory. More people who
Dr.
take this.
Prabhakar Rao, who's doing the
Mm,
Mandala Vatika, is so beautifully connecting Vedic literature, Vedic knowledge, wisdom to modern science. I would really urge anyone who's interested in getting this connect between Vedanta and modern science to listen to his Mandala Vatika. It's there on Facebook, it's also there on YouTube, I think. You just type out Dr. Prabhakar Rao or Mandala Vatika, and it's beautiful the way he explains with examples, and he brings in a lot of physicists, modern physicists, and what their theories are and how they're actually coming to understand Vedanta and reconfirming what our Vedic uh, truths had put out 10,000 years ago or even before. So please listen to that, and that's really revealing. So please
Even this
continue.
spanda,
Correct. The spanda
everything
is
is
also the
spanda.
same. Correct. Correct.
Everything is spanda, and it is continuously changing. So that is mithya, no? The moment we take everything as spanda, and spandas are continuously changing, so automatically that mithya thing becomes so obvious, and we are
Hmm.
trying to hold on to all the mithya only, no, throughout, and that's why we get cheated, kind of. So this knowledge is so important to uplift ourselves.
Very nice. Karanopadi. Where is this? Okay. Anadya vidya nirvachya karanopadi rujyate upadhi tridaya danyam atmanam avadharayet. Anadi, beginningless, avidya, ignorance, anirvachya, indescribable, karanopadihi, causal body, uchyate is said, upadhi tridayadanyam, other than the three conditioning bodies, atmanam, the atman, avadharayet, should understand. Avidya, which is indescribable and beginningless, is the causal body. Know for certain that the Atman is other than these three conditioning bodies or upadhis. In all cases of delusory superimpositions, such as ghost vision in a post, the cause for the illusion is is in the accidental non-apprehension of the real. The misapprehensions start. Where truth is not known, avidya, when the reality of a thing is veiled, avarna, from us, we cannot but misinterpret the reality through our own misdirected imaginations, vikshepa, which form the delusory projections, adhyasa. When the intellect is clouded with ignorance, the mind dances in agitation, painting for itself an exhaustive picture of dark despair. When the spirit is not known due to the veiling layers of ignorance, avidya, the misapprehensions of the spirit as the various matter envelopments start. Identifying with these layers, the delusory sense of individuality arises, and this ego suffers the pains and agonies of existence, samsara. The mere non apprehension, in case it is not creating any misapprehensions, is a condition of relative joy. That is the joyless joy state of sleep is an example in us when we are in pure avidya, in sheer non apprehension of neither the self nor the non self. This avidya is the causal body, inasmuch as it is this ignorance of an eternal spiritual perfection that has given us our gurgling desires in the intellect, thoughts in the mind, and actions through the body.
Excuse
The
me, can
subtle,
you read this from the
okay,
beginning
yeah,
because I kind of missed those words.
no problem. In all cases of delusory superimpositions, such as ghost vision in a post, that is, in a post, you imagine it to be a ghost or a snake on the rope. The cause of the illusion is in the accidental non apprehension of the real, which is where the misapprehensions start. Where truth is not known, that is avidya, when the reality of a thing is veiled, avarna, from us, we cannot but misinterpret the reality through our own misdirected imaginations, which is vikshepa, which form the delusory projections, adhyasa. Adhyasa is like that example where the colored glass. I mean, it's a pure crystal, but if there is a leaf, green leaf next to it, you will see the
It
crystal
takes the
as
color.
green in color.
Oh,
So that's a delusory projection. So
right.
because of avidya, there is this veiling avarna, which causes this vikshepa, misdirected imaginations, which give us the delusory projections, which is adhyasa.
Okay.
So when the intellect is therefore clouded with ignorance, the mind dances in agitation, painting for itself an exhaustive picture of dark despair. I mean, this is how Swami Chinmayananda's narrative is. He's so descriptive and very creative in the ways he expresses himself.
Yeah.
When the spirit is not known due to the veiling layers of ignorance, avidya, the misapprehensions of the spirit as the various matter
So the
envelopments start.
apprehension means it's what is that misapprehensions of this?
Misapprehensions is you are projecting something else. The adhyasa is happening. Like you're seeing the snake on the rope. That is a misapprehension.
Misapprehension. Okay.
You're seeing what is unreal as real, whereas you're not able to see real as real. So the unreal is superimposed upon the real, like how the Jagat is superimposed upon Brahman. So we are unable to see Brahman. Therefore, for us, Jagat seems very real. That's a misapprehension. So, so when the spirit is not known due to the veiling layers of ignorance, avidya, the misapprehensions of the spirit as the various matter envelopments start. Identifying with these layers, the delusory sense of individuality arises, and this ego suffers the pains and agonies of existence, samsara. The mere non-apprehension, I think in case that is a typo error there, it is not creating any misapprehensions, is a condition of relative joy. Which is the state wherein deep sleep. In deep sleep, what the last sentence uh, is what is this joyless joy state of sleep is an example in us where there is no non-apprehension. You're not able to see the world outside. The sense organs are all not functioning. You're in deep sleep, but at the same time, it is only relative joy because uh, you're not you're still not able to see the self as self because there is that veil of ignorance still. So the joyless joy state of sleep is an example in us when we are in pure avidya, in sheer non-apprehension of neither the self nor the non-self. So that is why just going to deep sleep is not same as Jivan Mukta because you're still having the veil of ignorance there. This avidya is the causal body inasmuch as it is this ignorance of an eternal spiritual perfection that has given us our gurgling desires in the intellect, thoughts in the mind, and actions through the body. The subtle body and the gross body are the products of avidya, and therefore it is called the causal body. So it is this ignorance of an eternal spiritual perfection that has given us our gurgling desires in the intellect, thoughts in the mind, actions through the body. Therefore, it is called the causal body because it is the cause of the subtle and the gross body. Beginningless
And
anadi.
that Dr.
Yeah,
Renu, she was asking about what is causal body. I hope
correct.
she
I think
told
she's not there now. Yeah,
she's
she's
not
left
there
the.
now. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay. Maybe we can ask her to see the page
yeah.
32. Okay.
Beginningless anadi. This is a description of this mysterious avidya, which the students of Vedanta in their early days of study find it very difficult to accept and assimilate. Here, light is thrown into this concept by the modern revelations in science. Time, according to modern scientists, is the interval between events. And in our textbooks of philosophical thoughts, a more vivid definition is given, perhaps, which perhaps has a closer personal appeal. Time is the interval between experiences. To have an experience, three factors are necessary: the experiencer, the subject, the experienced object, and the right relationship established and maintained between the subject and the object, called the experiencing. Thus, the mind intellect instrument, the experiencer, must have a world of objects, the experienced, to establish the condition of experiencing, to have the first experience. At a single point A, there is no distance to measure. From point A to any point B, there is a distance. When the first experience ends, which is at the rise of a different experience, then alone can the concept of the first unit of time appear in our comprehension. Even for the very first experience, where time is impossible, we need the equipments of the intellect, mind, and body with a world of objects to perceive on, to feel for, and to think upon. Thus, even before time was perceived, the created world has come out. And to perceive it, the equipments of knowledge also must have been created. I'm going to read this again. So, for the very first experience, for instance, if you have just point A, it's only point A, there is no experience. But in order for you to experience, there is no distance to measure. From point A to any point B, there is a distance. So then you're able to experience this distance. So when the first experience ends, which is at the rise of a different experience, then alone can the concept of the first unit of time appear in our comprehension. Even for the very first experience, where time is impossible, for instance, if we are looking at that point A, where you're not experiencing anything, it's just a point in space. We need the equipments of the intellect, mind, and body with a world of objects to perceive on, to feel for, and to think upon. Thus, even before time was perceived, the created world has come out.
This is where this Chinmay, Swami Chinmay, he has this BMI chart, the body, mind, intellect,
Right.
and then he put this, what do you call that? He put the body is the perceiver. What is that? There is three things you read, right? Yeah,
The
perceive,
experiencer,
and then the feeling
experience,
is feeler is my mind, and then the thinking is the thinker, intellect, right? Like PFT, and then there's OET. O is the object for the body because that's what the sensory organs stealing the from all sensory objects, and then the feeler is the emotion. So the mind has feeler, and then the emotion comes, and then the thinker is the thoughts, and that's how it's written. He puts above all this is the self, like he put Om for that.
correct.
He probably uses the same wordings here, that
Yeah.
to feel for and think upon is even before the time perceived. Hmm. So the
So,
time. Go ahead. You read.
yeah, no, go ahead, Dr. Mara.
No, that's what I was trying to remember what he was trying to say there.
Right.
And then, yeah, but he's mentioning how he introducing the space and time. Um, that's where the distance and time. I'm trying to think like that because
Yeah.
that is more in Mithya, where the space and time. So it's not related to Anadi is timeless. Like avidya is before time. Before time is Anadi, timeless. I don't know. I didn't understand that, but we'll read that part. Maybe we'll
Yeah,
understand.
we'll read it.
Yeah.
So, even before time was perceived, the created world has come out. And to perceive it, the equipments of knowledge also must have been created. Avidya is the causal body for the subtle and gross envelopments, and therefore it cannot be qualified or measured by time, which is its own byproducts. So, therefore, avidya is beginningless. You cannot give a time to it because time is its product. So, therefore, avidya is beginningless. My grandson complains, Grandpapa, why did you not take me to the marriage of my granny? Avidya is before time, anadi, timeless. This avidya is again qualified here by Shankara as indescribable, a thing that exists and which can be an object of our perception or feeling or thought alone can be framed in expressions and explained or described. But avidya, which is the cause for the instruments of perception, feeling, and thought, cannot be brought fully within our experience, and hence the difficulty to explain it. Again, if a thing exists, it can be explained. A non existent thing also can be explained. Avidya can neither be said as existent nor as non existent, or both, and therefore it is inexplicable. I'm remembering the story of darkness and night, sorry, darkness and daylight, where if you want to search for avidya, the moment you have knowledge, there is no avidya. So it is difficult to hold on to avidya and say this is what it is, because it is neither existent nor non-existent.
Mm. Basically, yeah, that story of sun chasing the darkness.
Sun
Yeah,
chasing,
it
trying
is.
to meet Miss Darkness.
Yeah.
It is absence of knowledge and absence of
Correct,
light. Yeah.
correct. No?
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
lastly, in Vedanta, the theme of discussion is Vidya and not Avidya. The seeker has come to the teacher seeking knowledge and not seeking to realize ignorance. Therefore, the Shastra says that the seekers need not try to understand and experience ignorance. It is impossible. With a torch, however fast we may run, we will never be able to see darkness. Night flies before the vivid rays of the morning. Keeping a burning gaslight on his head, one fool once walked the whole night through, trying to place that light at some place where there is darkness. Failed. The more we try to understand or know ignorance, the more it moves off until we reach the true knowledge. So, therefore, what is basically what Swamiji is trying to mention here? It is a futile exercise trying to understand ignorance. Rather, we
Yeah.
put our
That is
efforts as a seeker to work, to move towards knowledge, to Vidya,
right.
not avidya. Because the more you try to understand avidya, that is why, Mrinal, this brings me to the little bit of understanding, little clarity, where we try to understand how the first karma was born, how the first prarabdha was born, how the first, you know. So we're trying to understand Maya, for instance. There is no point. Rather, we understand how knowledge is, what knowledge is. Then, uh, I mean, that is meaningful. Otherwise, it is like the sun trying to find darkness.
Very true.
No?
Fantastic answer, Prabhaji. This is
Yeah.
otherwise you will go round and round and round infinitely.
Isn't
Mm.
it? I mean, this paragraph makes it so clear. That is why we have to read knowledge punah punaha. Because sometimes, somewhere it will click.
Nowhere any question about what is ignorance, right?
Yeah,
We always talk about what is self, what is, this, that, but not about, oh, you are ignorant, what are you ignorant about,
correct. So for us, it's enough to understand
I
that
mean,
avidya,
like avidya and
yeah,
ignorance, you need not even have to say you are.
you are vidya, you are actually Satchid Ananda. The
Yeah,
problem is
so
with this veil of ignorance.
because we
So,
No,
are
it is
focusing on
pertaining to the person who is
our other
asking
things.
now. And I mean, the question.
No, what I'm trying to say is like it comes to you always. What is this veil of ignorance covering this thing? How you when you're trying to read all this Vedanta and trying to understand this, is it something easy to wash away with the soap or something? You know, it'd be easier to do that. But all it is that you have to leave everything except thinking about this self. So the self is like, this is where the Atma, that has like eternal, timeless, beginningless, and all this, like all that you have to understand, and uh, which is fun to read this. That paragraph is really nice. The
Very
last one.
nice, no? The last
Yeah.
paragraph, I will read it again.
Yeah. Can you please? Yeah.
Yeah, I will read this again. So, lastly, in Vedanta, the theme of discussion is Vidya and not Avidya. I think this one sentence itself is like quite revealing. The
Yeah.
seeker has the seeker has come to the teacher seeking knowledge and not seeking to realize ignorance. Therefore, the Shastra says that the seekers need not try to understand and experience ignorance. It is impossible. With a torch, however fast we may run, we will never be able to see darkness. It is that classical example, that beautiful story of the sun trying to meet Miss Darkness, daylight meeting
It's
darkness. No?
Narada's
Narada's story,
Kalagam.
right?
Yeah. He's fun person to deal with.
Night flies before the vivid rays of the morn. Keeping a burning gaslight on his head, one fool once walked the whole night through, trying to place that light at some place where there is darkness. Failed. So the more we try to understand or know ignorance, the more it moves off until we reach the true knowledge. Should I continue for another few slokas? Today is stopped
Yeah.
at 15. Huh?
Good. So we don't want to
Panchakoshadi.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Panchakoshadi yogena tattannmaya iva sthitah शुद्धात्मा नीलवस्त्रादि योगेन स्फटिको यथा Panchakoshadi yogena, by identification with the five sheets, that tanmayaha, identical with that, iva, like, sthitaha, appears, shuddhatma, the pure self, nila vastradi yogena, by association with blue garment, phatikaha, crystal, yatha, just as. In its identification with the five sheets, the immaculate Atman appears to have borrowed their qualities upon itself, as in the case of a crystal which appears to gather unto itself color of its vicinity, blue cloth, etc. Here we are given an answer as to how the perfect, the immaculate self happens to be contaminated by the impure and the imperfect. The self is ever pure and is the same everywhere and is never contaminated by the finite objects in creation, nor by the different layers of matter, which are the products of our own non apprehension of the truth. We wrongly seem to imagine, however, that this unchanging supreme, because of its association with the imperfect objects, conditioned by various limitations, gathers to itself the stink of the five sheets when life is expressed through the mind and the sense organs. The venom of the superimposed serpent cannot poison the rope, its substratum. The blood on the lips of the ghost can never leave any stain upon the innocent post. Therefore, not any of the karmas can taint Brahman. Sanchita, Prarabdha, Agami, nothing of that. Because all that is only a superimposition. A clear glass tumbler seems
Sorry,
to take.
Brahmaji,
Yeah,
that one, number one, could you please read five
I will
sheets?
read that. The 5 sheets. Yeah, I'm coming to that. Near the Pranamaya, the 5 sheets are the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya sheets. Let me just read this. The personality in man is conveniently analyzed into 5 layers on the basis of their distinct functions. And these are called the Pancha Koshas, the 5 sheets. They are Annamaya Kosha, the food sheet, Pranamaya Kosha, the vital air sheet, Manomaya Kosha, mental sheet, Vijnanamaya Kosha, the intellectual sheet, and Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss sheet. So, what he's saying is, so
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
wrongly seem to imagine, however, that this unchanging supreme, because of its association with the imperfect objects, conditioned by various limitations, gathers to itself the stink of the 5 sheets when life is expressed through the mind and the sense organs. So the venom of the superimposed serpent cannot poison the rope, its substratum. The blood on the lips of the ghost can never leave any stain upon the innocent host. A clear glass tumbler seems to take up the color of the tablecloth on which it happens to stand. Similarly, because of the seeming identification and association of the pure self with the 5 sheets, as it expresses itself in and through them, we mistakenly identify the 5 sheets as our own true nature.
Basically, the rope is compared to self, right? Because that's a
Correct.
substratum.
Correct.
So we are superimposing that snake identification through our sensory
Correct.
perception that we have in the mind. So basically, that's what all the three examples, right? The clear something that is covering the real thing,
The
like
5 sheets. Yeah.
glass tumbler is covered by the tablecloth.
Right.
The ghost never have the lip, blood on the, it
Yeah.
never stain the post and things like that. So the
See,
pure self is covered by these 5 sheets, but that's not the nature of the self.
correct. See, as
Yeah.
the pure self
Mm.
within the 5 sheets, as it expresses itself, pure self is nothing but pure consciousness. It is only through consciousness that all of them also have their existence. But when it expresses itself in and through them, we mistakenly identify the 5 sheets as our own true nature. That is the whole
Yeah.
uh,
So the human
crux.
nature is our nature is Satchit Ananda. That's the
Correct.
nature. So this yeah, we are kind of focusing on all the other type stuff. Okay,
That is
got it.
why, that is
Mm.
why so many times it is harped that you have to purify your mind into Ladanta Karna, and you have to
Yeah.
still your mind. When you still your
Mm-hmm.
mind, when you bring your mind to that state of Nischala Tattva, then you're able to see the self that is transmitting through in and through these layers, it becomes evident to you. Otherwise, see, as long as we are functioning and through the mind, intellect, we're going outwardly, we are
Mm-hmm.
unable to perceive the self.
Yeah, but there is this if you're doing the two things, for a person like us or like a human that have family and things like that, you have to work, right? I mean, right now I'm not
No, that is
working, but
true. No, I'm
still,
not saying
when
no. I'm
you're
not
when
saying
you're doing that, you do it honestly, That's what they're
Correct.
saying. You do honest job and then do this. You do the self meditation also. That helps to realize the self. I mean,
Correct.
constantly thinking about the self. That's also that helps to
Yeah.
realize the Brahman. Yeah,
See, all these
yeah, you're right.
vasanas are like blocks. They're like
Mm-hmm.
blocks. All these impressions are like blocks which prevent us from experiencing our true nature. And how we get rid of these vasanas is by doing karma yoga, is by cleaning our internal equipment, the antakarna shuddhi. And that happens only through righteous living, through
Mm.
living,
Yeah,
practicing karma yoga, so that you don't, and you're taking care of your raga and dvesha, so that you don't accrue any more vasanas. You're
yeah,
you're not building on your impressions, so you're clearing up all those impressions. And of course, with dhyana, sadhana, and all that, you're bringing your mind to a point of stillness. Then you're able to, the self will shine forth, like how you're cleaning the mirror. So, all that we're doing, of course, we need to live in the world. We cannot not live and function in the world. But how we do it, Bhagavad Gita has given us the way forward. The five sheaths are the gross physical structure, the anatomical Annamaya, the vital air sheath, the physiological Pranamaya, the mental sheath, psychological Manomaya, intellectual sheath, Vijnanamaya, and the bliss sheath, Anandamaya. वपुस्तुषादिभिः कोशैः युक्तं युक्त्यात्वघाततः आत्मानमन्तरं शुद्धं विविच्यातण्डुलं यथा. Vapuhu, the form, tushadibihi, with husk, etc. Koshaihi, with sheets, yuktam, covered, yuktya, by logical thinking, avaghatataha, by thrashing rice in a mortar, atmana, the self, anand, antaram, within, shuddham, pure, vivichyat, should separate, tandulam, rice, yatha, just as. Through discriminative self analysis and logical thinking, one should separate the pure self within from the sheaths as one separates the rice from the husk, bran, etc., that are covering it. I will just read this this shloka, and then we'll wind up. How then are we to visualize the glory and the greatness of the supreme truth that is all pervading the self in us? How to separate spirit from matter and realize the pure spirit? Just as rice is obtained by removing the husk, bran, etc., from the paddy, so too by the discriminating faculty in us, which distinguishes the real from the unreal, removing of the various impurities superimposed by us upon the self, and getting beneath the sheets of the dark spiritual ignorance, avidya, which dims the light of the real self, we must realize it singularly alone in its pure and uncontaminated state. Thus, by the art of negation of the physical and mental equipments in us, and also by the removal of the dusty dirt that has been let in to rest on that immortal, the glory of the total existence in the manifold creation, the Atman, is to be realized as the pure consciousness. When an earnest seeker subjectively experiences this truth, he becomes detached from the various sheets, which are his personality layers. He realizes that the soul is different from those layers, and in the constant process of detachment from them, he attains the infinite knowledge and the absolute bliss. He rediscovers his spiritual status as the eternal self. So nice. Huh. Anyone wants to share anything?
So nicely described the self. So we kind of got there beyond the sheets and beyond subtle body and gross body.
Isn't it? All those,
Yeah.
And
with
the
this knowledge, yeah, go
knowledge
ahead,
is,
Dina.
yeah, the knowledge is so easy. I mean, it is, Jnanam is just like a, it's so easy. We are that.
Mm.
It's only the Ajnana which we are always. So it is achieving that stage is also not that difficult. It is so easy. You just require the knowledge about the self.
Then why are we like this? If I got the knowledge, I'd be all happy.
Exactly the same question.
We are
It
like
is
To
that
be
so
man,
very.
impossible.
Ravi Maga. We are
For me,
like that
it
I,
seems to
man
be
I,
holding the
impossible, yeah.
torch,
yeah.
looking
So
for
we
the dark.
accumulated the knowledge. That is what I would say. I think I accumulated the knowledge. I know what it is, everything. But then you have to experience it in order
We
to
are
like.
so much into this Maya, though, that this is so real for us, and practically, like sitting here and thinking about the other side of the mountain all the time, that it is so green. It
Yeah.
becomes like that actually.
Like Vijayji were posted one video, right? That we do get sometimes glimpses of it, like when you're meditating, oh, you kind of, oh, you're there. But then again, you're not there completely, like all day long you're experiencing it. That is when the knowledge really happens.
Cooking
You
is
So
know,
the reality for this moment for me now.
For
I know,
everyone.
but then that even the other day I was asking what is this karma yoga, right? Like what Brahma was like she was saying that yeah, we have to go with that attitude in everything. Then we see everything, like ourselves, like Brahman. Then you would be able to see it. So this is where I feel like we have to focus on how we going to do it apart from learning it. Reading it, we have to learn it to really see ourselves
Uh,
where we are with
yeah,
this.
I had a suggestion. I mean, if we could do this, like there are very, very few very important things we need to keep in mind all the time. Like um, as a mumukshu, what we want, Brahman. From that, so to achieve that, what do we want? Like that, if we could go reverse or we could go through karma yoga. What is karma? How do we do the karma? And then raga dvesha. These main points, can we jot down
yeah,
in a
I get
sequential,
what you're
sequentially?
getting it
Yeah,
Mm.
is create a roadmap as a
yeah,
seeker, create
yeah.
a roadmap as to
Hmm,
from whatever we've now learned till now, what has
correct.
been on my mind the last few days. Just
Hmm,
wanted to make a roadmap of saying Brahma is there, then there is
hmm,
Maya. We are
hmm,
uh, we are a human being right now. We are a mumukshu. So
hmm,
what is the roadmap
hmm.
to realize that we are Brahman?
Hmm.
Where are
And it
we
is
and where
very
we have
few
to go?
things. See, if very few things
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
but then if we go every day, that in that sequence, I think we will imbibe that mentally, and then maybe it will percolate in our actions, and then maybe subconscious. But
correct.
Mhm.
we need to do that in a sequence,
Mm,
like properly, so that it
mm,
comes into us. Otherwise, it is
Mm.
just bits here and there. We listen and
Will
then
you
correct.
we just
guys
try to apply.
yeah, so maybe we can see, it may be different for everyone, like how do we do it, like Nitya Karma, say choose one activity,
No,
see
it need
whether we
not be
can
just
keep up with
point
this.
wise. It
Yeah.
has to be just the point, few points. We could, like Brahma was saying, if you have something in mind, you just put it, and then we can
Yeah,
give our
I will,
add-ons.
correct.
Yeah,
We can add on, we can
yeah,
fine tune it. So
yeah.
that becomes like a roadmap
Roadmap
for,
every day, like a prayer. We just read that.
yeah,
and we
See,
can show.
simply put, the purpose of our life is to realize who we are, rediscover our true nature. That is our purpose of life.
Yeah.
We are
And as
covered by
compared
this.
to Prata Smarami, that
Huh?
Shankaracharya, Prata Smarami,
Yeah.
Yeah,
My question is, who are you, right?
yeah.
So,
Two things I
uh,
wanted to share here is,
yeah.
with this light of little bit of knowledge that we have, when you
Yeah.
listen to Gurudev speak and when he's answering interviewers' questions, you will
Mm,
understand how well, I mean, how beautifully he's putting out the subtle truths into and into his answers, answering the interviewer. Yesterday, he was being interviewed by a Ghanaian actress, and she was,
mm,
I mean, all credit to her, she was asking such profound questions. In fact, her
mm.
first question was, who are you?
Yeah.
And so beautifully, Gurudev said, that is
Mm,
exactly what I want everybody to ask themselves. Who are
right.
you?
Mm-hmm.
Are you the different roles you play? So, what I'll do is, I'm going to share that video, the interview
I feel like
the
I
link.
am nothing, like that is whatever I have done so far, it feels like nothing, because we have to learn so much, more. At this point, you feel like, oh, what did we do? Nothing. That's what it comes down to me, like that kind of, I always dream like, oh, you're late for the exam or you didn't prepare for the exam, right? You get the dreams like that. So I thought maybe because of all this, I still need to explore to get this knowledge.
No, but at the same time, we need to
Mm,
be Vitaragaha. We need to be devoid of feverishness. We have
yeah.
to be intense in our seeking. At the same time, um, not worry. I mean, that is where I think all these finer aspects that we've been studying come into place. So,
Yeah.
if I may take a little more time, I just wanted to, because this has been going on in my mind, and thank you, Mrinal, for bringing it up.
Yeah, that's what I want to,
So,
apart from reading, can we kind of
yeah,
discuss for 10 minutes at least each one, like what is going on with us learning all these things? I
yeah.
mean, yeah, how we are putting in
So,
action and
so when
yeah.
when your
Mm-hmm.
whole idea, your mumukshutvam is towards reaching the goal, or reaching or rediscovering yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do we do that? The first step is, because we have come into this being, into this world, with a lot of our prarabdha karma, with a lot of our vasanas. We will have to um, exhaust our
Redeem.
vasanas,
Hmm.
exhaust the vasanas. And how do we do this? We do this through the practice of karma yoga. The vasanas can come down only when we um, release ourselves from the sheath of raga and dvesha, which is what is acting, causing us to add on to our vasanas. So in this life, at least the first step that we need to do is to look at exhausting our vasanas. And therefore, you live the life of a karma yogi. You work
And
with an
how
attitude,
do you do the karma yoga is leaving the raga dvesha. And
yajna,
how do you
yeah,
leave the raga dvesha? Like that.
yeah,
How
correct, no?
how do you achieve leaving the raga dvesha? Getting
By,
rasa out of it.
correct, by work,
R-
doing things as a yajna, like with a yajna bhav.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
do everything as an offering to the divine and take whatever comes as his prasad. Then you are slowly letting go of the hold of the raga dvesha on your system. And how do you not accrue new raga dveshas? You like you There you use the viveka and vairagya. You use the shamadhi shat sampatti, the control or restraint over your sense organs. And therefore there vyavasayatmika buddhi comes in, where you be single pointed. This is what your goal is. You of course have different roles to play. You need to do your swadharma, you need to do your swakarma, nitya karma, all that you do, but keeping this at the back of your mind, like the tanpura. This has to go on constantly. This is your goal. And finally, with Shraddha, you continue your practice. And then, yeah, this is still where I got the roadmap. Okay,
Please add on the rasa, because unless the rasa is not
gone.
there, raga dvesha will be
Correct.
there. Yeah,
Correct. Even I was
yeah.
thinking we should go more and read more about the rasa and
Mm,
understand how do we uproot the
mm,
rasa.
correct.
See, withholding myself, for instance, like I told you the other day, Facebook on when the other day I was feeling quite wretched. I mean, I was looking at myself and what am I doing? I spent so much of time on something wasteful like this. I felt so regretful about it. So I said, okay, the first thing I'll do is at least remove my Facebook. So mentally, I'm not going in there. But like you said very rightly, the rasa might still be there, is there, and not might be there. It is, of course, there. So our efforts is to how to uproot even that rasa, where your
So
mind
this
will not slip back.
all the
I
questions
think
about
here
those three gunas that we are
this
talking
practice
about.
will help.
Huh?
Here in this practice will help. Like for a, means one by one, we have to take one of our senses and be with it 100%. Like uh, like a exercise, if we are eating something which we really like, that rasa thing we need to understand, no? So be with it 100%, keep on eating and enjoy, like totally become that padartha, whatever you are eating, 100% which you really like from the bottom of your heart. You have that so much rasa in that thing. And then it goes that your experience goes to its peak. Be with it 100% and then keep on eating it, and then just see how it flips to the high, goes to the highest, because you are hungry and you like that thing so much. And the senses has its own limitation to give that joy. The moment you feel contented in the stomach, automatically you have to stop that eating. But if that rasa is there, so much attraction is there in that food, whichever you have selected, suppose rasgulla or ice cream, you that day purposely you overeat it and be with it 100%, that overeating also. And then how it really took you up to the peak, and how it satiated your senses, your stomach, your hunger, and then how your energy started depleting, and then you started really the aversion towards that same food, same rasgulla. You don't stop till you feel that aversion for that rasgulla and that sweetness in your mouth. You really feel that aversion should occur to you. Then only the functioning of each and every senses, you really need to do that meditation in motion, in the that in action, that whole action, giving your 100%. Once and for all, that rasa, you need to understand the science and its technology behind it, and then you can really distance yourself from eating. Yes, the hunger is there, I need to get the energy from the food, and that is why the food is there, and the hunger is there, and I need to satisfy myself. But where to stop it at right time? And my ultimate aim to take this body is not to just keep on eating the food to satiate my sensual, my tongue. Unless until we do with one of our senses, we will keep on like a roller coaster, round and round and round and round we will go. So I think this
But I think,
action.
yeah, I am kind of um, maybe there is also another way to do it, no? Rather than just give in to the senses, maybe there is another method. One way is
I
maybe what you
also
said, but that is
I have
indulging
to
in the
go.
senses. But then you might actually get more and more into it rather than get out of it. So maybe there is another way.
I remember after, because I was so much wanted to know how to get this rasa out of your system. That time I was paying attention, and it says that self contemplation, that is the only
Mm,
thing to get out
mm,
of it.
Yeah, my question is about the gunas, the tamasic, rajasic, and the sattva guna. So, sometimes, yeah, I feel tired. Oh, I shouldn't be feeling that way. I want to be happy, or like, or not, like, you know, things like that. So I'm wanting to explore that gunas also, like how much we have this type of guna and how do we do this. Anyway, I have to go. I
yeah,
try to catch you up tomorrow.
yeah. Today we've actually had a very extended session,
But
Yeah,
it's good to discuss what
but
we
it was
read.
very good. It
yeah,
Yeah,
was
very.
really worth. It was really worth the extra time.
yeah.
So
I'll
let's
also
work
make
more
a
on.
chart on that, and I'll
Yes,
probably talk about it
yes,
tomorrow.
and I will
Just
share this.
I want to share that for one of the DSMs, I assisted Anand Rajendranji, where
Mm,
for the whole breakfast, like we were doing so many three rounds of Padma Sadhana, and for the breakfast, he gave this just one big apple, just one big apple, and he made us to eat that for half an hour. And
mm,
all of us, we were so much happy and energized with that just one apple, and then we were ready to go in the field to do all the seva. So that was really very baffling. Maybe it was a process, but that really made me to sit back and think how much we stuff ourselves with the food beyond the its purpose of giving us energy. So
mm.
just one sharing. Thank you, Jai
Yeah,
Gurudev.
yeah, that is true. We'll catch up tomorrow. लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सर्वं कृष्णार्पणमस्तु जय गुरुदेव